ACAB 1, guys. This is the video we're gonna watch. All cops are beautiful. Okay, so this is cops versus criminals. And I actually heard that Michael Jackson makes an appearance because he's a smooth criminal. That's a dad joke for you. Okay, let's just watch that. That was an embarrassing joke to make. Let's watch this.
Because you're a cop, why should you have the right to? Just because you're a cop, why should you have the right to tote a gun around just because you have a badge?
You're saying we shouldn't be armed.
You shouldn't.
Well, I disagree. I think a cop should have guns. I think that's okay. They just need to be more responsible with them, of course. That's okay. Interesting.
Have guns and all.
Okay, next time there's an active shooter going into a university, then we're just gonna let him shoot all the students.
You know what? I can't do this. This episode, my wife.
Damn. This fucking song's a bop, though, dude. Holy moly.
Step forward if you agree with the prompt. Cops should not carry guns.
That's silly. Obviously, cops should carry guns. We should just live stream everything on Twitch so we can make sure that they're not doing a bad thing, okay? That's how Twitch is going to survive, because Twitch has gone its way down. Let's be real. So the way that we help Twitch is we make it so that you have to live stream everything, and so we could all kind of weigh in, and this way we could be like, no, he should have done that. Beautiful idea. Am I right? Not a bad. I'm revolutionary. Nobody's ever said that before. I didn't take that joke from someone else. I would never do that.
I mean, there are so many countries in this world that do not have this level of violence within its law enforcement department or any other department. Guns themselves are not the issue.
Maybe.
It's the finger behind the gun, because you don't know.
Is that? Yeah, I guess. I suppose that's true. I'm pretty sure that in France they're like using the police as a way to be very heavy-handed against their people. Maybe other Western countries, but I think they all have guns. So yeah, I think that's the point that she's making. It's not the gun; it's the people behind the gun and the lack of accountability for police officers, which I think is a real problem, and it can be in a lot of instances. You know, I don't know. Maybe we should increase the fuck. This does sound mean. I'm not trying to be mean. Maybe we should increase the IQ requirement to be a police officer. You know, like in order to be a police officer, for the most part, you just have to get C's in high school. You know, I think some areas make you get like a 4-year degree in criminal justice, but maybe we should make you have to have a higher IQ, a little bit more critical thinking in order to be a cop, rather than it being the job that, you know, the football player got that has a traumatic brain injury. I'm not trying to be rude. I respect police officers, but frankly, like, I think that they're absolutely, like, I don't know. I imagine, maybe I'm wrong, that there's an increased level of empathy that comes along with having a little bit of a higher IQ. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe it's not an emotion instead of an intelligence quotient, like some kind of emotional intelligence. I don't know, but some kind of better training. I don't really know.
The mentality, the mind, you know, the heart of the person, and things trigger people and they snap.
True. That
and
is
no
true.
one exempt.
True.
Police officers are human beings too. They can snap.
True.
If you took guns away from the uniform, I guarantee you, like, half of them would not be there working.
No,
you know?
it's the power.
If you had to struggle to submit a perpetrator and like actually do work, police work, like it's not just about reaching for your gun 99% of the time. Yeah. So it's like if the gun wasn't part of the uniform, a lot of them wouldn't take that enabling role that they want to take as officers. You know?
Not for nothing. Oh, is he saying that he doesn't think people would want to be police officers if they didn't get a gun? Maybe. I mean, that might be an argument. There's probably a good amount of cops that have like a superiority complex, but I feel like if they don't have guns, what happens if somebody has a gun and they get shot? You know what I mean? I feel like, you know, there's always pros and cons to everything, but police officers need firearms.
Right in front of my building, I was harmed by an older man. When I got away, I went to the police. The detective took me to the hospital, everything, checked me out. You know what the police officer did with having a gun and everything else? Pulled me over, saying he was taking me back home, pulled me over on a dark side of a street and raped me.
Wow, that's horrible.
Because of the uniform, the badge, and the gun that made me freeze. But you, as a police officer, saying that you were here to protect and to serve, you allowed your power, your uniform, everything else, to make you think that that was okay. And this happens a lot. It happens a lot.
Well, that's terrible. I don't know if that's a normal experience to have. I'd say that we should have like permanent, always-on body cameras. That makes more sense to prevent somebody from being able to do that. But that's definitely horrible. Jesus Christ.
They want to abuse other people. They want to, you know, tyrants over other people. So they choose jobs like that. Like, what if you want to help other people? Why can't you go be a humanitarian? There's oceans to clean up. Instead, like, everybody just wants to be out here taking rights away from others and abusing people. This is an
interesting point. I don't know how I feel about it because it's somewhat like new, but their point here is more that like the type of person that a police officer, like an authority figure, a police officer authority figure attracts. That's what they're talking about. Like they're not really having a fundamental police officer conversation. They're having a what kind of a job does carrying a firearm and being able to be the boss of everybody, what kind of person does that bring in? And I think that that's a really interesting conversation. I don't know. I mean, do they do robust tests about this? Because that's definitely really interesting. I could see it. I could see there are people wanting to be a police officer just so that they can fucking swing their dick around, you know? Interesting. You know, if we didn't have those kind of people trying to be police officers, though, would we have police officers? Like, I don't know. I don't want to be a police officer. Interesting. It's a good question. Yeah, it's something to think about.
The moment you start copying an attitude, literally click. Let's go.
But you know, I don't want to do that to them as they do it to us.
I wonder how much of that is because police officers are dickheads inherently versus how much of it is dealing with criminals constantly making them dickheads, right? Like, I know that sounds weird, but like we all have it at our job. There's part of our job that we dislike the most and we start to hate it and we start to show that we have hatred for it. It's different for police officers because they work with actual people, which brings a problem in if they do allow themselves to generate a bias. But is it because of them inherently, or is part of it part of the job and being a human? Do we need to automate police work? Actually, might not be a bad idea. So, interesting.
Mr. Kriya, step forward.
If someone else has a gun, you gotta defend yourself too, you know, just the way you use it. I'm not saying that you should use guns, but I mean, if you have a gun, then you have to use it, of course, but not use it just for traffic stops or people with mental illnesses, stuff like that. That's out. If they have a knife or a stick or, you know, or a fork, like that doesn't justify anybody getting shot.
I mean, listen, I don't know about a stick or a fork, but if somebody has a knife, if I was a police officer, I would shoot them. Like, I don't know what you want me to tell you. I'm not going to put my life in any level of jeopardy to, like, what am I supposed to do? Pull out my broadsword and start going into like hand-to-hand combat with them like a gladiatorial arena? No, I'm not going to put any threat on myself. If you pull a knife on me and I had a gun, I will shoot you. Like, I don't, like, that's that I understand that, like, using an appropriate level of force, I get that. I think the conversation around people with mental disabilities and whatnot, you know, and police officers, that's the whole conversation about training police officers better, but also better, like, mental health services. I'd like to look at police, generally speaking, as like the last line of defense for bad things that are happening. For the most part, a lot of the problems that we have in our society aren't the police's fault. It's the system itself's fault. And police officers are kind of there to deal with it. You know, when you have homeless crisis, like a homeless crisis, that's not the police officer's fault, but they're the ones that are told to go deal with it. That's the fault of our ineffective government, not trying to implement proper solutions to deal with these problems, right? But at the end of the day, like, yeah, I don't think that you should have to put your life on the line to fight somebody that has a knife and, like, hand to hand, right? It would be really cool if we had alternative things, like maybe a gun that's like a net gun. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I don't know. But like something like non-lethal that would be like a little more effective. That would be cool. I don't know if those exist, like magical levitation beam that stops them in their tracks. I don't know. But I think that that's impractical right now. Maybe one day. So
you're for having armed police officers?
It's if someone else has a gun.
Yeah.
If someone else.
Personally, I prefer it if the police officers have arms and legs because it makes it a little bit easier for them to walk around. You know, I respect disabled people, but I think it might be hard to be a cop if you don't have arms. Maybe you could do paperwork or give a speech or something. I don't really know, but you know.
Y'all should be armed because I believe in the Constitution. I don't believe in the policing that the police force has done throughout many communities I've been in, but I do believe in rights versus laws, and I do believe that there are dangerous scenes that you go to where it is required to use them.
Yeah, sure.
So I have to agree that part of your, like he said, his tool belt needs to include a pistol.
True.
Okay, good, because I was about to challenge you both and say, okay, so you mean to tell me that what happened at Michigan State University with an active shooter?
This guy is the most copy cop I've ever seen in my life. Look at him. He just looks like he's every cop. If you took every cop in the United States and made one person out of them, this would be what this person would look like. I'm just saying. It's true.
Killing 5 students, or Ubaldi, where they went into an elementary school and killed children.
With Sandy Hook.
Well,
Sandy Hook, what happened over 10 years ago. You're sitting there telling us that we shouldn't be carrying firearms?
Yeah, you shouldn't. Like, if you guys are just traffic cops and stuff like that, you guys shouldn't. If you guys are like a SWAT team.
Yeah, you're not answering my question.
Like I said, I'm just going based on what you said.
traffic
You call me
cops
a
have
predator.
guns?
I'm like, I never done that in my life, right? I've been in situations where I've been shot at. I had 2 members of my department die in the last 2 months. I've been in situations where I've needed my firearm. I've needed every tool in my belt in my career. If you would go out and then see half of the stuff I see, you may change your perception about what.
Wait, I just looked into it, and traffic cops don't carry guns. At least in New York. No, the traffic agents you see at busy intersections are not armed. Is that true? If they were, I wouldn't care. Not all police officers carry guns. Is it, wait, what the fuck? Wait, if that's true, that makes that guy look like kind of a silly goose. Just a little bit of a stinky goose boy, you know? That's a little funny. Okay.
You see, it's dangerous.
So you can't call for backup.
What is me calling for backup?
How many? Like, oh, let's see. One guy with a gun versus 100 cops. Who wins? Like, I don't know. Probably the guy with the gun. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you think that? Like, if you put 6 cops together, they turn into a cannon? Like, what are you talking about? What the fuck does that mean?
Having to do with
So if you work county, okay, say in my area,
I'm a county cop,
right? And in my area, I mean, you have miles and miles of nothing around you. Your closest partner is maybe if you're lucky, 20 minutes away. Okay. In the meantime, I've got somebody that has me at gunpoint, and if I don't have a gun on my hip, I'm dead. I am a dead man walking because I have nothing that can go up against another gun.
Yeah, especially as a woman, honestly. Like I think that men are are more likely to escalate against a woman. I wouldn't doubt that, honestly. And bad men rather, because they're like, oh, that's weak, I can overpower them. I think women definitely need. I think women should be able to be cops too. I know, a hot take. So yeah, maybe we just teach cops karate, and we should teach them to catch the bullets. And has anybody ever thought of that before? No, you haven't, because you guys are fucking. Because you guys just want people to get shot. That's what the problem is. You guys are fucking. You guys want people to get shot every day. You guys are pieces of shit. You don't think about it like that.
But how do you think felons feel?
There's tasers, pepper balls. Like,
societal issues are not
Hell's
on
a
the
pepper
police.
ball?
Like, I'm not stripping you of your rights, right? That is not. You can vote. I don't give a shit. You can vote. You can carry a gun. You can do all that. That is not my. That is not my job in life. My job is you've been accused of a crime.
You've been a bad
I gotta
boy?
take you to jail because this, and that, and the third. I'm done.
You're saying that we should have pepper spray, tasers to Michigan State University or Uvalde? Is that what you're saying? So you're telling me that if I'm a cop, I have no...
In their defense, like, that's something you get called in on, and you could be like, I guess you could just be like, oh, you can have the gun in the back of the car. I don't know. But, like, yeah, no, I agree with it overall.
Okay.
But also, this,
well, he said to the
Because
community.
when it comes to those things where you have to respond quickly, like, it's like, oh, let me go stop by the police station and get myself a gun and then go to the thing. It's like, no, you need to be able to be ready for it.
No, that's not what he said.
maybe
The prompt is, should cops be unarmed? Hold on a second. You just got done watching probably the most tragic incidents probably historically. Uvalde, may I add. Just the kids, for crying out loud. And what you're sitting here saying is that we shouldn't be unarmed. What is it would you like me to do if someone has an AK-47 killing kids? That's my question to you.
We actually have our own rights. That we actually have our own rights to carry and defend ourselves in certain situations like that.
With all due respect, that's not the question I'm asking.
If you want to use Uvalde,
I'm asking you if you were I'll ask in a different way. If you're a police officer and you have no firearms, you got your pepper spray, you have your taser, you have your baton, and you are responding to Uvalde Elementary School where there's an active shooter with an AK-47, what are you going to do?
I would say that I would call for backup to the proper authorities that would be entitled to have those weapons that are not.
Okay, so then like we had a problem. I believe it was Uvalde, right? That was the one where like the cops were completely ineffective and they waited 45 minutes. Okay, so if you do that and the police officers don't have guns on them right away, what happens is like a situation like that where those pussies wouldn't go in. Except like this time, it's not that they couldn't go in; they just don't have firearms to go in. Right. So no, this is stupid. Like there's no way that you have to be a privileged little piss baby to think this, honestly. Like there's no way that like you would think that, like, specifically in this scenario, if you're like, I don't think cops should have guns, and then you get posed with this question, you're like, I just don't know. That's fine. Like I get it. But like at the end of the day, you can't be like, no, well, they just call for the because it's a perfect idea. No, man, kids are gonna get fucking shot. Cops should have guns, but they should have more accountability. Put a fucking body cam on every single cop. And there you go. And don't let them turn it off. And if they turn it off, they get fired. That's what you should do. There needs to be more accountability for police officers. That's the problem. It seems like there's very limited accountability for police officers. Okay? That's the issue. It's not the guns. It's like the complete lack of accountability and the fact that it's a goddamn boys club. So
in the general community.
I get what he's saying.
No, but what entitled to have weapons? Who? What agency?
So like
SWAT
the
and
UK,
above, you
yeah,
know,
what he's
there's
saying.
certain- but
Because like
certain
United Kingdom,
things,
how United Kingdom, their special force in their police department have weapons, but they're regular.
So why should you just be? Why should you have the ability to just tote around a gun?
yes, you-
That's my question to you.
Why not?
My question to you is, just because you're a cop, why should you have the right to tote a gun around just because you have a badge?
No. That's not what the prompt is. The prompt is cops being unarmed. Cops
Yeah.
being all
Yeah,
of
but
us.
you use your
Whether
body, and your
patrol-
body, they took it like over an hour to
If you let
respond
me-
when
allow me
they
to
were
finish.
there.
He
So
asked
you
me
had the
a
guns and you
well, it took but that's because they were pussies. Like that's what that happened for. That wasn't because of an inherent police issue. That was an issue with that department being pussies and not going in when they should have. Right? They somehow didn't understand that they're supposed to put their lives on the line and that kids shouldn't be getting shot. And more kids probably would have lived if they actually went in when it happened. But they're children. Like those cops were fucking ineffective losers. And I'm just going to always hold to that. But that's like fundamentally speaking. Then we had the other one, I think the last one where it was at a church and they instantaneously went in and I believe that they killed the person, right? That's what should be happening. Oh, thanks for pulling all that, you stinky little bitch. That's what needs to be happening. So.
What I'm saying is that
cops wouldn't have
he's
done
saying
that.
cops. Cops is a very, when you say cops to me, you're talking everybody. Every single cop, okay? And you're saying we shouldn't be unarmed. Okay.
You shouldn't have guns at all.
Okay, so you know what? Next time there's a big active shooter going into a university, then I guess we're just gonna let him shoot all the students.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So all those countries that don't have their police officers carrying guns.
Not many, just so you know.
Oh, I know very well. That's the work that I do.
Okay.
So, and even been there to see that. But what I'm saying is that, have you ever thought about how those countries respond to those situations? And
So really quick, not for nothing, but I'm going to assume, and I don't know what countries don't have police with firearms, but I'm assuming that those are countries where guns aren't legal. I could be wrong, but so we have a different issue in America, and I think guns should be legal, first of all. So that's like number one. But we have an issue like where guns are legal, and it's easier because there are legal infrastructures to get guns. That's where illegal guns come from. They come from legal infrastructure, right? Like illegal firearms come in through legal means, and then they end up getting sold illegally. That's kind of how this works, right? Now, I still think that we should have legal firearms, but that's one of the reasons why a police officer in America needs a gun, because there is a more availability of guns to criminals. So it's a little different. Oh my God, you fucking idiot. It's a little bit different. It's just different. Just build different.
can we do the same?
We absolutely could not do the same because we have criminals here, and I'm not speaking of y'all, but there are people here that still carry regardless of if it's against the law. If you were to take guns away from illegals, criminals, people that are not from here, I would 100% agree that officers don't need guns,
So are
and that
those
we
mass
could go
shooters?
do
Because
what?
I think the mass shooters are not the ones, the immigrants, and the taking it all
No,
away.
but and that's what I'm just giving examples.
Yeah,
I'm
but
just
so
giving
the
examples.
She's right. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
so the mass
constitutional.
shooting
It's
and all
just
that
an
is-
issue.
A constitutional
second-
right to bear arms, right, allows
It's a right.
everybody in this country to bear arms. Well, not
Which is
everybody,
rare.
not everybody. Let me be specific. If you're a law-abiding citizen to carry guns, the amount of guns that we have in America, doesn't it outweigh the people that we have? Hey, these countries, they don't have a Second Amendment. They don't have a constitutional right to bear arms. So it's a lot easier to say, you know what? Y'all can't bear arms, so y'all can't bear arms. In this country, we can. So I'm just
Yeah,
being,
it's
like I
different.
said, everything's anecdotal. I've been in situations where I needed my gun, and you were absolutely right. Would I do the job without one? Hell no, because I've been in situations where I needed one, and you know what? I had it. It's equal force. I'm being shot at, I'm about to shoot back. Not just, hey, I have a gun on my hip, I'm just about to, you know what? Guns. That's not how I do my job.
And the thing that popped right from that prompt is just active shooter, active shooter, active shooter. That's
And it's not,
you're
even,
right.
it's not even
To your
active
question,
shooter.
you know
It's
what?
just being
I haven't-
shot at by itself.
I haven't done the research, or I don't know if there's any empirical data to know exactly in other countries how they respond to someone who has an AK-47 that goes into a building and starts killing people, and yet
They don't have that problem as much in other countries because of our, like, not only is it's just too easy to get a gun here that we, like, let's not even talk about banning guns. Let's just talk about, like, I don't know, some kind of red flag laws and like better monitoring of people. Probably better mental health services as well, a healthier population. Like, let's be real, there definitely are mental health aspects to this. We don't have like some form of universal health care, which I think could actually help cut down on this stuff if people had the ability to go to like a fucking therapist. There's so many different issues.
we're a police force that doesn't have any firearms. I don't
They
know. I
have
would have to
special
do the
units for it.
research.
They do have special units for it. They're just not out in the street where you see them all the time, 24/7. But you said something, and I want to bring that up. Hold on with that. You said something. You said that the people with the guns are oftentimes criminals or, people like that. And I want to say that those mass shootings that happen in our country are from people that pass a whole tons of background checks and are law-abiding, to your point, and all these things, and all of a sudden, and that was my
Well,
point.
not really. We have like really weak background checks. You should have to get like a driver's license, like to get a gun, like a gun license. There should be more. There should be more issues. Like when it comes to mass shootings, maybe, but like a lot of issues is that people with guns or people that are domestic abusers that shouldn't have guns, and I believe are legally supposed to not have guns, still have access to their guns, and then they end up killing like their spouses and whatnot. So like mass shootings are definitely a problem we should deal with. But then there's also like the problem of like regular shit as well that we're not dealing with. And these are some instances of that.
Point earlier about when people snap or whatever might happen, and we have to be clear in identifying that, because we get labeled like we're the ones doing all these mass shootings, all these things, these horrible, egregious things, and 96% of the time, it is not a person that was formerly incarcerated.
And to your point, we get
so
labeled,
let's be clear on that point.
right, and then we get labeled as killers.
Right.
I think I've heard agents of racial genocide is what we've been labeled before. You know, and all this, and again, my point was just, I'm talking about one specific type of, incident where,
But we have to
I
pay
think
attention
everybody
to
would
that,
agree.
though.
I think everybody would agree.
We all
like
have to
have
pay
a
attention to that, though, and be clear and be very honest with that, and identify it, and not try to like, oh, well, it sounds good, and let's get some news on this, and let's just like label them and put everything on them, because that's how we feel, because that is actually what's happening. And then when we know the truth and the facts, and it comes out, it's like that person was never been incarcerated, never had a record, never anything, and do the worst harm to our society, our communities, because believe it or not, the vast majority of us on this side of the fence want safety just as much as you do.
Hey good humans, Zach here, checking in to ask if you're doing your best to protect yourself from online crime. Anyone can find anything on the internet.
Oh, it's a VPN thing.
It's information else all in one ever need. Should I check out?
Okay,
Let's get back
go
to the
check it out, guys.
Police violence is blown out of proportion.
That's an interesting question. I don't know. That is a very interesting question to ask. Is it blown out of proportion? Because I think that there are issues with police. Is it blown out of proportion? I wonder. Maybe sometimes. Maybe sometimes. I mean, we're at a point now where anytime a police officer, has to use a firearm, we'll go, oh, it must be racism against like a black person. Oh, it's racism. It's racism. It's racism. Like it must have been that. And then like sometimes we find out that that person was a bad person that ended up getting shot. And they did like, I'm not talking about George Floyd because he was unjustifiably shot, but there seems to be other instances. And we all instantly jump to the racial narrative. So I wonder if there is a level of truth to it being a little overblown, especially with the way that social media works. Social media can be really bad. Let me give you like a for instance from More Human Level. And social media shows you what you want to see, and a lot of people want to see hateful, violent things. It riles you up. It makes you feel a certain way. I'm going to be absolutely honest with you. I've been seeing a lot of people in like my feed and like my shorts, different type of shorts feeds, whether it's like TikTok or YouTube or Instagram or whatever, that are a lot of, to be real with you, black people committing crime. And it's made me a little more racist. And it's like, wow, like I started making me think, like, is there really a problem here? Is there something here? The other day I was like on my phone with my wife. Like we were on the phone together. Sorry. We were watching TikTok on her phone. That's what I meant to say. And she comes up, her feed is very different from mine. Mine's like a lot of police auditing bullshit. A lot of times people are doing bad things, a lot of this, a lot of that, memes, this, that, some edgy memes. My wife's phone is all kitty cats, Disney, and just like silly stuff. And as I'm scrolling through the feed, I realized, I came to one video where it was like this one kid, and it was like a kid who was afraid of pine cones. So the family was kind of like, they had a pine cone next to him and they didn't see it yet, and they were just kind of like, playing with him a little bit, and he saw it and he's like, and they threw the pine cone away. It was funny. I watched that one and I realized that like while we're watching this feed, I saw like the 10 black families, wholesome black families. I didn't even realize their race because it wasn't the most forefront thing, not doing bad things. And I was like, holy shit, is my For You page just showing me instances of black people doing the wrong thing and making me more racist? And I feel like that's part of the problem. And you see that on social media too. I get constantly riling up racial tensions in both directions. And so I do genuinely wonder, like, yeah, I wonder if some of it is overblown. We definitely need a police accountability, 1000%. Like I said before, body cams on everybody. That you can't turn them off or you get fired. I think that that's a great solution. But I mean, how much of it is us just getting fed what we want to see or what riles us up and what makes us like worse people and what makes us more prejudiced and more biased and like really like riles us the fuck up, So I think that there's a level of truth to that as well. And how do you realize it? Like, how do you even realize that you're getting fucking, to some extent, manipulated by an algorithm so that they can make more money by feeding you more shit? Like, how do you realize that? I don't know.
I think that really depends on where you're at, whether it's city, town. I think it really depends on the department, because you have a lot of departments that you see a lot of that stuff, but then you have like the small departments that you don't see none of that. And you have community policing. You know, we go out and we do activities with the kids. We do activities with families. Yes, we still do our job. We still pull people over, but we're not, I guess, what you would call harassing people in some of the ways that the big cities do.
But I mean, you technically are though. Like, I mean, justifying your bad behavior and your violence for you guys doing community work, it just doesn't go hand in hand, you know?
That's not what she's saying. Like, you can't be this unintelligent. She's not saying, yeah, we do bad things, but we're also nice guys. What she's saying is like, oh, this isn't the whole picture. Like, we're not doing bad things. A lot of us, our work is, we have fun with the community and we interact, which is a good idea. The police officers should be very present in their community, which is one thing that increases like different tensions when that doesn't happen. She's not saying, yeah, we're going around shooting people and killing them, but sometimes we're nice. No, it's not what she's saying. You're being stupid when you think that. Like, you have to like listen. You have to listen.
I understand people's sentiment where one incident where it looks extremely bad is wrong, and then it casts an entire umbrella over the entire profession. I may have a different perspective or different perception of what you're looking at than you do because I'm in this profession, but the way that I guess that we look at things now in the media, it's blown completely out of proportion.
So when we
That
see
makes
the
sense.
videos of a police officer handling a child, and that cop has become violent towards a child.
And I agree, but my thing is, has it been
But
blown out of
his point, when they say blown out of proportion, they're not saying that those individual instances are good. What they're saying is like, is that the most honest representation of what most cops do? Is it like the constant times where they're doing wrong, or are we being fed all the bad things over and over again that like make us think that this is happening more often than it is, right?
Or I see that one incident.
We see it a lot.
You see a lot.
You do see it a lot, but you have to.
Yeah, you're going to see it a lot because the media is going to feed it to you, and a lot of times it seems so disproportionate because that's all you're seeing, right? We live in a country with 350 million people, so I imagine that there's a bad cop doing something bad all the time. Every day there's a bad cop doing a bad thing. But does that mean that statistically it's happening as much as we think it is? Probably not. We're probably being fed like, and I'm not saying that there's an intentional narrative of like feeding people this idea that cops are bad. I think it's more like, oh, we know we're going to get views if we push this story, so let's push this story, and then it has this consequence of us thinking that things are worse than they are, you know. And again, they need to be fixed. There things that need to be fixed, but is it as bad as we think it is all the time, right? That's what, like the same thing before, like I was getting fed like racist videos where it's only showing like the times where black people are fucking looting Walmarts, but is that like the general experience? No, it's not. You know, and it becomes like, it starts to invade your mind. You don't think at first, you're just like, this is just an outlier. And then you start to think that this is real. It really fucks up your brain, like to a point where you become ashamed of it. Like, damn, like, I can't believe that, like, I'm believing this shit. I can't believe I'm not getting a fucking heal by like this healer. It's crazy. You know?
Also, take in consideration that there's over
Dog shit.
1,800 agencies in the entire United States. So if you look at the big grand scheme of things as it relates to all these agencies, and you do see violence, you do see where it's scrutinized, where it's brutal. But if you take the numbers, it's very, very minimal.
If you look at all the public contacts with all agencies nationwide compared to these bad incidents or the perception of bad incidents, it's a very micro compared to the macro of how many public contacts all the agencies have with the public.
Those are the ones that you do see. I mean,
Yeah,
and then
because
before
they're on
it was
social
about
media.
the media
Before all that.
blowing it up, and we agree to that.
There was, you know, Rodney King, there was Emmett Till, there was all
Well,
these
and you
people,
know, and honestly, there's bad officers. And
Yeah, you gave us two examples over the course of 100 years. Like, I know what he's saying, but also, like, again, like, you have to understand how you're being fed information by the media because they want you. That's what you want to see. Like, you want, especially if it reaffirms like how you feel about particular things, you're gonna want to see that kind of stuff.
good officers will be the first ones to tell you there are bad officers. There's bad in every workforce that you're in. Everything. If it's bad, it's bad. If it's wrong, it's wrong. You know, we are the first ones to kind of, hey, you know, that's too far.
And I used to work internal affairs, and I personally arrested 2 prior police officers.
I also work in
That's
internal
good.
affairs, and I can tell you out of 30 plus of these tribunal hearings, a lot have been terminated. So there is
Well, that's
some
good.
accountability. I think we're heading in the right direction, considering 20-something years ago, you know, you did something bad and, you know, it got swept. Now, social media obviously has magnified it by hundreds and hundreds, which is good.
But what social media has done is just
That's
allowed
good.
everyone to see what's happening in the moment.
Well, it sounds like it's like at least we're having like more of a conversation about bad stuff and getting rid of bad police officers because that is an issue. But if that's changing, good. That's a good thing. I'm happy that's changing. But we should at least like acknowledge that change a little more. Jesus Christ,
Right
the
before
fucking
we got it
stunts.
weeks
Holy
later,
fuck.
months later, years later, so no one knew what was going on. But now we have the ability to film it in the moment and say, hey, look at this, and this is what's being captured. And violence that's perpetrated against people, who, whether they're doing something wrong or not, is so, I mean, it's to the point where it's not even harmful anymore. It's tragic. Why? Because we're all human beings. And there's a culture of violence that perpetuates within the department itself. And I've had good cops reach out to me and said, they're not listening. And if they know I'm saying anything, I'm gone or I'm going to be hurt.
Police violence
That's
is
bad,
completely blown
definitely.
out of proportion.
What does she do for her job?
In a sense that it's completely biased. Why isn't nonviolence or...
Well, I wouldn't say it's completely blown out of proportion. I do think that like it's a little bit out of proportion. I wouldn't say that it's completely. What the fuck's taking these people so long?
me saving someone's life not blown out of proportion?
Oh, it's because that's your job. Not for nothing, but it's like, yeah, why is it when like this is, it'd be like if somebody at McDonald's was like, hey, how come they only complain when I mess the burger up, but when I get it right, they don't suck my cock? Well, you know, it's because it's your fucking job to save people's lives, and it's not your job to beat black people. You know what I mean? So, like, I get it. It'd be nice to get some praise. It's nice to get praise when you do like a good thing. But you know, you understand what I'm saying? There's a little bit of a difference. You get what I mean? No?
Could you step forward?
I don't believe it's blown
The problem
out
is
of
that cops are responsible to review themselves. They all, yeah, that's true. That's true. An internal, that is kind of weird that like it's, you know, you make a mistake and then who reviews it? Oh, your friends. Hey, my friends are getting, you know what I mean? That's definitely an issue. I get that.
proportion because I believe it's just barely getting the exposure that it needs.
It is what it is. That's what it is. Each time I've encountered the cops, it's just been like the most negative experience of my life. Like, I'm addicted to the news. And every time I turn on the news, it's another cop killing. Like you said, maybe they don't report what's
like you said though, you're a little addicted to the news. So.
good out there, but
true,
they
I
do
get
report
you.
the bad. And I watch it every day of my life. Like, I see how the cops treat people.
If I may ask you, if you did see the good, would that give you a different perception about the police?
It's not that I don't see the good. It's that it just doesn't. I haven't seen it happen. I haven't experienced it. I haven't.
It's not that I haven't seen the good. It's just that I haven't seen the good. They're nice. No, this is the thing. People do see the good though. Like if you look at it, there are For You pages on like, because it's social media and media. That's where it's coming from. If the particular thing is desirable, it is seen. If you are desiring in some capacity to see bad cops, you are going to see more bad. That's how algorithms work. And they invade your mind and make you think that that's the entire world. But then there are people who only see the good things from police officers because that's their For You page. That's what they like. They find it to be wholesome. And this is like the issue, is like this is how social media impacts us. And I don't think that there's anything we could do about it except for acknowledge that this is a problem and that it needs to be changed. And that this is probably the worst boss they've ever created in any fucking game. How stupid this is. Like, it's not fun to be flying in the fucking air like an asshole. This isn't fun. Just kill this stupid piece of shit. Right? That's one of the issues there. Is like what's being beamed into your head.
I had heard nobody in my community like
Right.
have anything.
So I've seen the good. When I was 16 years old, I'm in my 40s. I actually had a police officer who was my hero. Every contact since in multiple states, multiple divisions, has violated me, stolen from me,
Damn.
taken from me, and stripped me of every value I ever had. The way y'all talk to me, the approach, I'm so respectful. 18,000, that's what you said? Divisions?
No, 1,800.
1,800? How many prisons are there? And how many inmates? And then we're disarmed when we come home. We can't vote, so I can't compete with you on my laws. I can't carry
That's
a
fair.
gun. I can't defend myself.
I think that you should be able to vote after you get out of jail, obviously. Like, I mean, the whole point of jail is reformation. So if you don't think that somebody should be able to vote after they get out of jail, then you don't believe that the jail's working because it's not engaging in that reform that it's supposed to engage in. Because that is what jail is supposed to do. It is supposed to be... It's supposed to reform people, right? So, sure.
I can't even carry a knife. The exposure is barely there. We need more exposure. I'm from the LA County area, from the islands of Hawaii originally. Every police in between them seas to the East Coast has always spoken with disrespect. They don't pull us over on a speeding ticket like, hi, how's your day? How you doing? Do you got any emergencies going on?
Yeah, they come with their guns.
When's the last time you was arrested?
Who, me?
No, I'm
That's
just
fair.
saying that's the approach when you come to the car window, right? Is on guard.
I don't talk like that.
I've never had that problem. But what I will, because I'm not a degenerate. No, I'm just kidding. But I will say that, like, last time I got pulled over, the cop was an asshole. Like, this makes a little... I understand what she's saying. There's, like, a fundamental lack of respect. Yeah, I think that prisoners should be allowed to vote. I don't know if a prisoner should be, but like once you get out of jail, I think you should be able to vote. But what was I gonna say? Fuck. Like, police officers, a lot, in my experience, when I've been pulled over, I've only been pulled over like twice. And both times they were fucking raging dickheads. Like, I got pulled over because I was doing like apparently 60 and like a 50 or something. Because it was one of those areas where I was coming off the highway and it was a different state. And it goes really quickly from like 65 to like fucking 40. And I was like, what the fuck? And like, I got a ticket and they're like, you know, you got this. It's guys, the police officers are just sitting there to catch you on this trap because they know that they're little dickheaded assholes. And the guy was an asshole about it. And that was like annoying. It's like annoying. Then another time there was a cop that was like speeding on his way to work. He was doing like 75. And I thought he wanted to race me because I was a young kid. So I started speeding up next to him. And then he passed me, and then he kept following me. And it turns out I was an off-duty cop, but he came to my house and not arrested me, and gave me a ticket, even though he's not legally allowed to do that because he was having a fucking power trip. But yeah.
So I hear where you're coming from, but I don't talk like that. So some people do that. You talk for them, but you said us. You just pointed at us, said us.
The department. All departments.
I don't know which department they work for, but I work for a department, and I've never seen these people in my life. I've never seen you in my life. I've never encountered you in my life, but I wouldn't come at you like that.
So you don't cuss at people when you walk up to them?
Oh, absolutely. When I walk up to them, no. Now, if they're cussing at me, I might cuss back. Absolutely. I'm going to allow you to dictate how you want to allow this interaction to go.
What if I speak to you with respect and you go back there and you pull my license and it says parole date 2036?
You're still going to get treated with respect.
I've never, not one time. So you guys are four.
You can come do ride-alongs with me.
But what I'm saying is I'm coming to you. What are you on parole for? I'm on parole for this, and that, and the third.
Your computer doesn't tell you what, that's my response. If your computer doesn't tell you, you got to do your job.
Yeah, and the dynamics change because everybody's got body-worn video now or dashboard video, and everything's recorded.
Yeah,
all these
that's the reason
contacts.
you guys have them. That's exactly why you guys have body cams and dash cams. Because even your own departments don't trust you.
It's for transparency. So if I do something, the public knows why I did something. That's what it's for.
Sure, but I think you could still turn them off, which is like a problem.
I grew up in the era of body cam, so I'm fine with it. I turn it on every single time. I've had people say, hey, this person is rude, this person this and that and the third. They watch body cam, did nothing that they said.
Bingo. And
But technology is policing you. So technology has little air. Human beings are policing us in the community of a community that you don't even know our values. You come from 30 miles away as a difference in the values. So I believe that it does need more exposure beyond the cameras that y'all
Well, I
have.
think if
It's interesting. That's an interesting point. What I think she's saying, and maybe I'm just interpreting this wrong, is I think that she's talking about how like there's a lot of times where you have police officers that aren't part of the community policing the community, and it creates like levels of unrest. And there's actually a whole issue with it. Like I understand that there are high crime areas, so it's hard to get police officers out of there. And then if you do want to become a police officer, you get shamed. So there's a lot to this point. But if you think about this, what happens is like so you have like a small poor community here. They're paying their taxes so that it can go to police officers in other other areas, like other towns over that are like less crime. So they're getting paid in those areas. They're shopping in those areas. They're not shopping in like the area from where they're getting the money from. And it's just like siphoning money out of the community. So there's a lot of there. Again, I think part of it though is that like people in the community shame people that want to become police officers, try to change it from the inside out. Yeah, like Long Island police officers are in New York. Yeah, absolutely. There are tons, like a lot of police officers in New York City are from Long Island. You know, and it's like, you know, that you don't know that person. There's some fucking random guy there, and then they're going to take their money and they're going to go back to their house on Long Island and they're going to spend it on Long Island. And then guess what? You're going to collect the taxes from these people who are already poor, and then you're going to give it to people who are living somewhere else, and they're going to spend it in that community, and they're going to bolster that community. There's a lot of complicated issues here, you know?
If you're going to say it needs more exposure, I think the good side also needs more exposure. I think policing in a whole needs more exposure.
I mean, I grew up with
I think that we should.
school.
I think that what we should do is we should have police OnlyFans. Because I'd like to. Okay, that's a little. I gotta stop. I'm being a little sexist here. Sorry. But I'd look at the bald-headed guy's cock too. So
programs and all these false hopes.
But that's not the DARE
That's your
program has
exposure.
nothing to do with patrol and being out on the streets and working with people and
she is kind of bad though. But sorry, that was inappropriate for me. I realized I went a little too far there. It's a little bit. It's a little too sexist. My bad. I'm sorry.
families out on the streets. I see the good in policing, but I also see the bad in policing. So, like I said, if it's
Also, I feel like recruiting police officers from bad areas is incredibly short-sighted and stupid. Hiring thugs. All right, relax a little bit there, brother. My point isn't that we should hire fucking thugs, as you say. My point is that not everybody from a poor community is a thug. Okay, I would say most of them are just trying to do their thing and work. Okay, and that's a problem. Is that like a lot of them don't want to be police officers because of like a community aspect where you get shamed for being one. But we should also look to those areas for policing, becoming police officers, so they can keep the money within the community. Okay, you're going a little crazy there.
if this one side needs more exposure, I think it all needs more exposure.
I grew up in the community. I'm not judging you, but yet you see me with a uniform, you automatically judge me. And I don't think that's fair.
Well, because that comes from her experience. That's what she's trying to say. It's like as soon as the uniform is put on, the badge, it's like, and for
An
most,
ego trip.
because I'm in that work, and I see it, and it's like the
What
ego
work is she
comes in,
in?
or that power. And as human beings, we must feel like we're in control. That's just, it just seems to be an innate thing within all of us. Oftentimes, people with titles and roles allow the titles and roles to justify what they do.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me fundamentally, for sure. There are people who let the power go to their head. I mean, she's not wrong about that. That's a good point. Sure. Okay.
The good is there.
Hey, what's going on?
The good is there. There's 4 of you right here. You have some conscience. That's what I'm hearing.
Committing a crime is never justified.
I don't know. That's a whole conversation. Listen, there are reasons people commit crimes that they need to. I don't think that, like, from a societal perspective, we can't allow people committing crimes. But I understand why some people might steal in different ways and do this and that and do bad things, you know? I understand it. It's not right. But I get it. But I wouldn't say, like, it makes sense. You still have to get arrested for committing a crime. You have to get in trouble for that. But at the same time, maybe we definitely need to talk about providing robust supports for people so that they don't have to go down like bad paths and like do bad things, you know?
Does anybody agree with the prompt?
No.
Everything is a crime now.
Can they disagree or step forward?
That prompt, it's a very open-ended question. I shared a part of my story earlier about the person, the officer, who was there to protect, serve, and he committed a crime against me. Was he justified?
No.
Because he was a
of course
police
not.
officer, a detective. I forgave him. And so that's why I couldn't step forward, because I had to pause for a second. I have to take a neutral stance here because that's not our reality.
I was 14 years old, and I was deciding to not go to school. And my stepdad came up and yanked a cover out from underneath me, and I hit the ground off of a bunk bed. And I got up cussing him, and he slapped me across my face.
Jesus
and I was
Christ.
the one that was taken to juvenile hall. But damn it,
The
my
fuck?
crime was justified. You know, I think with anybody, with any crime that is committed, there's a reason, there's a background, there's a story.
There you go.
There's circumstances that you have to find out. And us as police officers, that's our job, you know, and we'll take it from there.
So none of you as officers stepped forward and felt like it was unjustifiable the minute that you put your badge on to commit a crime?
What?
No,
Not one of you?
I feel like
She
it's
just asked for
justified.
an instant.
Right. I feel like some things are justified for basic survival.
I'm just curious,
we
if
deal
out
with,
of-
like,
What is she talking about? None of them stepped forward because they don't think it's justified to do a crime. I'm a little confused on what she's saying here.
4 of you didn't have that one concept and you took an oath to protect and serve my community, his community, your community, her community, and not one of you stepped forward. I was going to step forward and challenge it. I hesitated and went back because I wanted to rethink it. Not one of you felt like when you put on that badge and that tool belt that there was no justifiable reason to commit a crime because it'd be self-defense, right?
some things are justified.
I'm confused what she's saying. Oh, she's talking about self-defense. That's not a crime, though. That's justifiable. That's not a crime. They said are crimes justifiable. That's not a crime. Like is murder justifiable? No. Is like killing somebody because they're going to attack you justifiable? Yes, it's illegal killing. Right? You know, she's making me a little confused here with her point.
Like I just said, basic survival.
Maybe
I
I'm
deal with
misinterpreting.
transients all the time, right? They go and steal something. My department requires me to do something when somebody steals something. Now,
I have a
do I
quick-
think it's right? No, but he's hungry. It's my job, so I have to do
You're
something.
just
or I'm gonna get
misinterpreting
fired. Can I
something.
pull out my card and pay
I've
for
done
it?
that.
No,
Yep. I've done that.
But I can't. My department doesn't allow me to do that, so I can't do that. I have to do something. They say, hey, I want him to go to jail. He's going to jail based on what that person said. With your situation, if she would have took the knife to the officer, that's justified to me, right? In my eyes.
Yeah.
Now, do we being justified and dealing with the consequences are two different things?
I'm totally accountable. My years in prison made me 100% accountable for me in every action that I do and every thought that I make. So I've served federal and state prison. I have a parole until 2036 for narcotics.
Damn.
I've never hurt anybody. Nobody's ever overdosed from my drugs. I just got caught under the Reagan laws.
Oh, the narcotics. Are you talking about weed? If you're talking about weed, I could see, like, I don't care about weed. But if you're talking about fucking heroin or something, I don't care. Nobody's ever overdosed. I don't care if anyone's ever overdosed. Like, these drugs, like heroin and shit, are a plague to communities and destroy them. So if you're selling drugs, you should go to jail. Okay. Weed is different. It's under the standard of alcohol, so there's no reason for weed to be illegal. It's actually ridiculous that it is. But outside of that, if you're selling like fucking heroin and shit or coke, like, you deserve to go to jail. I don't care if no one's ever overdosed. It's still an incredibly addictive substance that ruins families. It shouldn't be anywhere. So
was raised in there. I've created my deepest friendships that I have in there. I've left women behind in there. The problem is that when I found myself in trouble since I've been home, the last number I would call is anything with a 11, 211, 411, or 911.
Okay.
My loss of faith and belief in the whole entire police community is gone. It ain't no 2%.
Well, I mean, she's losing me here. It sounds like it'd be one thing if she's like, yeah, I went to jail for selling drugs and I realized that was wrong, and then like, but I have problems with the police. I'd be like, all over that. I get that. But now she's like, yeah, it should be okay that I sold, I'm assuming, a hard drug and that wasn't weed. Because or else she would have been like, oh, I sold weed and I think it's stupid. Because I'd be like, yeah, that is stupid that you went to jail for that. So you kind of lost me here, but okay.
Of you in my eyes, there ain't no 1%, because you might be a hero one day, and then 16 years later, back against the corner, lose everything you stood for. And it happens. We're humans.
Just a prompt. Anything that you've done to get you where you were was never justified.
If you look at Justifiable, no, I was greedy. I was taught to hustle.
Okay.
But why did you start?
Because I was hungry.
You were justified, but you're still going to get arrested. That's what I'm saying.
No, I don't justify it. I'm accountable. See, there's a difference. You can't.
It sounded like she was justifying her bad behavior. I don't know what she's talking about there, but okay.
That's what I'm saying. I understand where you come from, but I'm still going to arrest you. I'm still going to do my
Because this is job.
Yeah, I'm still going to do it. So I understand your story. I hear you, but you're still going to jail. That's what I'm saying. Is it justified? I get it. You were hungry. You had to do what you had to do. You had to do what you had to do to survive. I get it. But you're still going to jail.
You're doing a job that the department told you to do.
Right.
You just said that, would you want it to come out your pocket to probably feed the person that was stealing something because they're hungry? Because in your humanity, you know what it's like to be hungry. But in your job, you know that if you don't do what you're told, and the procedures and stuff, that you're going to get in trouble. You probably lose that job, and that's not something you want to do because you also have to feed your family and feed yourself, right?
Absolutely.
So I think we can all agree, some of you have good intentions, and you go in with that. But it's a department that has a culture of violence. You can't help but to pick up some of those traits. A number one, because you want your job. A number one. So I served 27 years in prison, in a maximum security prison for women. I had a sentence of 25 to life for the crimes of kidnapping and murder. That's what I was convicted of.
Wait, what?
Number one. So I served 27 years in prison, in a maximum security prison for women. I had a sentence of 25 to life for the crimes of kidnapping and murder. That's what I was convicted of.
What? That's hard. You should be in jail still.
Did I do it? That's a different story. No
Did
person
you?
that represented a system helped me. Punishment has become the response.
Wait, did you do it? Hold on, just tell me, at least tell me you did. You didn't say no. At least tell me no and that there was an issue with the system, and I'd be like, okay, maybe. Did you do it? It sounds like she might have done it. And she's just like, did I do it? Well, that's another question. I would have been like, bro, I didn't do it. And I got bad representation. I would say that if I actually did it too, probably. But what the fuck? What the fuck?
To every damn thing in this country.
Because it's like we're out in the street living every day.
Bro, what empathy am I supposed to have for a fucking fucking kidnapping murderer? What? Fuck her. She's a fucking, like, bro, I get the drug addict shit. I understand doing drug addict shit. Selling drugs. I need to make money. Okay, fine. You know, as long as you say I was wrong, I get that. Fucking kidnapping and murder? Did you do it? What the fuck? You can't brush over it. You have to talk about that for at least 5 minutes. Yeah, this happened and I didn't do it, but blah blah blah. Or maybe I was part of a gang and they made me do it, and this happened. And I'd be like, okay, we're going somewhere at least. What the fuck? Holy shit. Oh my God.
We're out on the street doing our own thing. When you guys as colleagues come after us, like at what point does it justify your colleagues to do all that stuff just because they have that badge?
God.
When y'all colleagues are shooting at us, how does that justify you guys' crimes? That's what I understood from her. I understood like when you guys are, that's what I got.
I don't know. I'm a little bit jarred.
You're at
A
the
little
streets,
jarring.
and, you know, you guys come and do all this and that. Who's calling? Who's calling us to get to where you're at?
All right, let me give you a perfect example, right?
Okay.
Let's say I have a broken down car.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a broken down car, and nobody called you. You just happen to see a broken down car. And I have my emergency lights on too, so I'm declaring that I'm having an emergency situation.
Okay.
You see me out and about, I'm on my phone, I'm in a safe area on this side, on the right side of my vehicle where I'm not in imminent danger. I'm following all my protocols. Let's say I even go as far as putting a road flare or a cone from like a traffic kit.
Okay.
I cover all my T's and A's, you know? I'm literally trying to avoid you because I don't like you. So I'm doing everything I gotta do, but here you go. Woo, 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 woo. Hey, what's up? Do you need help? And I'm like, no, sir. I don't need any help. I've called AAA. They're on their way. I verbally communicated with you that I'm good. I'm in no imminent danger. I put my cones up. I'm waiting for AAA. I relayed to you, verbally communicated that I'm okay. I'm not bleeding. You're not seeing anything going on with me that would attract you to come after me. But here you are, grabbing at your belt, pulling at your thing, just seeking for something to go after. Immediately seeking, like you're like a predator, bro. You're.
I don't. bro, this is ridiculous. This scenario he gave us was fucking dumb. Hey, what if my car broke down, I pulled over, and the cop asked me if I needed help, and he said no. He's looking to arrest me. That doesn't communicate he's looking to arrest you. When is it happening that you have car troubles and cops are pulling you over, are coming over, being like, can I help you? And pulling on their guns, looking to shoot you. I just don't believe that this is happening. I mean, maybe it's happened, but I'm pretty sure, like, I feel like if a cop's pulling over to see what's wrong with you in your car, they're probably just trying to be nice. It seems like you're interpreting nice things from police officers poorly, and that's a you problem. What the fuck? What's happening here? This is I mean, maybe it's happened before, but this is not. I would say most of the time when a cop pulls over to see what's going on with your car trouble and you're like pulled over, he's like, hey, do you need some help? That's a nice thing from a police officer. Yeah, sure, help me out. What's up? You might say no, but that's fine. But like, you've described a scenario where a cop pulled over to help you out and you just didn't want him to do that, and he's now grabbing at his belt. I don't know. What did this guy get arrested for? Like stealing a candy bar, like a Snickers? Like, this guy doesn't. You're a silly goose. What's happening here?
Literally hawking eye into your target, and you're like, I'm gonna get him. Boom, and then here you go. You been drinking today? I'm like, bro.
This guy has this is the problem. Like, the acknowledgement of police officers doing bad things is like real. It does happen. But then this guy has decided that every single time he sees a police officer, they're trying to do a bad thing. He's filters his entire life through bad things of police officers. He thinks that everything that a police officer does is wrong and bad, and there's never going to be a justifiable moment for a police officer to exist, to be able to protect themselves, to be able to have a gun, to be able to enforce the law. That's it. Like, he's completely lost. He's not having a reasonable perspective anymore. He's just lost. He's lost in the sauce.
Bro, I just told you I don't need your help. Like, I'm sitting here waiting for my AAA to come with a flat tire because I got a wheel lock. Oh, so, but have you been drinking today? Are you on probation or parole?
Okay.
Immediately, it's like, dude, I'm in distress. I've advised you I don't
Did
need
this
your
happen
help.
to you, or
I
just
put up all my flares, crossed
did this happen, or are you making something up? I feel like you're just making this up.
all my T's, dotted all my I's, but you continue to push the subject.
Yeah.
And then you go as far as like pulling your gun. Why are you getting hostile, sir?
I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
This specific situation doesn't happen. I don't know what to tell you. This is not something that's happening. This is not a good example. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm just
Why are
saying.
you getting hostile, sir? Click. You good?
Yeah, so
I feel like you're getting hostile, sir. Put your hands where I can see him. Click.
All right,
There
stop
you go.
talking. You're
So,
really annoying.
I'm going to tell you what I always just say in the streets when I work
I mean,
patrol.
do we agree here?
This is what I was going to say. I'm going to tell you what I always say in patrol. You know, and this is what I said in my earlier comment where we get painted with this broad brush. First of all, I would have given you a ride. When you say you, I just want to make sure and be clear that me personally.
That's why I have AAA, though. I don't need a ride.
Hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish. What I'm saying is that in my mind, you're speaking about me personally. I would have helped you no matter what.
But I don't need your help. I've advised you, verbally
Roger
told
that.
you.
That's
When
fine.
you were
And
10
you
feet
know
away,
what?
and you
And
kept
I
coming
would have went
towards
to
me.
I would have took off
When
and
you
went
were
to
like
Starbucks and
15
got a
feet
cup. I would have took off and went to Starbucks and got a cup. I understand that. But what I'm saying is that I'm going to tell you what I always used to say when I used to work in the streets. You know what? I can't speak and I can't feel what you feel.
So why did you?
Let me finish.
See what
Let
I
me
mean?
finish.
Bro, this guy won't shut the fuck up. Just shut up. Gee, you came up with a fantasy fucking scenario that doesn't exist, and now you won't let the guy just respond to it. I would have said that you're an idiot. Frankly, I would have been like, this doesn't happen. This specific instance is silly. You're being ridiculous. Like, obviously, like, you don't know how to be like a reasonable person when it comes to cops. I would have berated the guy for being ridiculous and making up some dumb story that doesn't happen. But instead, this guy's like, oh, you know, if this happened to me, I would do this and blah, 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 blah. And you won't shut the fuck up. Let him finish what he has to say. Just let him talk what he has to say. You're just so desperate to get your time in because nobody wants to hear you talk because you sound like an idiot every time you open your fucking mouth. That's all it comes down to. And now people are just like, yeah, let's not let this guy. It's like the first time you've talked because like whatever you say is like literal fucking diarrhea coming out of the mouth. Just shut up. Let him finish. The cop. It's the cop's turn to talk.
Predators, bro. Exactly. Nobody
You're a predator.
You're not letting me
So who
finish.
called you?
You're not letting me
But that was
finish.
my question. That was
No,
your
no.
question, right? Who called
Did I
you?
let you speak?
But nobody called you.
Can I speak? Can I say something? 'Cause I feel like
He doesn't understand. Can we get a little protocol
what he
here,
started
the
off
Q&A,
with.
where he talks and then I talk?
Yeah,
Because
one
he's
second.
not letting me talk.
Okay, you can
Yeah.
respond, and then
Okay.
I want to hear from Star, and then you have to go to the next
And
one.
can you just please let me finish?
Yes.
I mean, I'm answering the valid points validly, you know.
You're not answering a
You're
point.
not letting me. You know what? Disregard.
it's good. We
You're
don't
not
gotta
letting
be.
me-
I would have stopped too. This kid's being a fucking little shit baby fuck boy. He won't shut the fuck up. He came up with this fantasy scenario, and then every time the cop tries to say something, he won't stop talking. The guy's like, I just want to finish a point. Like, he's being an annoying little bitch. Like, I don't know what to tell you. He's calling him a predator. What a thing to call somebody, a fucking predator. What did you get arrested for? Like, oh, I don't understand. Like, Like, what? You're calling a guy a predator. He's just trying to be like, yeah, I would have helped you. Oh, and then you won't shut the fuck up. What the hell's happening here?
But you know, I gotta say, like,
what I'm trying
But you gotta have more patience as a police officer.
Well, no,
you just got a quick snap, and I can see it.
You always gotta be right. Like,
I'm
you
just
don't
used to
always gotta be
arguing. When I
right.
argue, I'll always let the person speak as much as.
Bro, unless they are doing some like insane editing here, these fucking convicts look like pussies now. Like the guy's just like, can I please finish? He said it like 6 times. Like, you're just jumping. You have to be able to deal with stressful situations. Blah blah blah. And you're just jumping. Like, shut up. Like, let him talk. It sounds like you guys are just trying to like test his patience to try to make it seem like he's constantly jumping to like the fucking craziest scenario just so that you can, I don't know, virtue signal about how bad cops are or something. It's fucking wild.
You can.
I think
and then once
the crime that was committed, like when I was a kid, I wanted to be a cop. I saw the cops. I grew up in the 90s, so they would give baseball cards, and I thought the cops were the coolest things because I had a real bad childhood, like with my parents, and I didn't really have friends like that. But the cops would be there.
Okay.
But the second I got my lowrider bike, like the cops would pull me over and give me tickets, and I'd be like, "Why don't you stop them over there?" It's like, "Well, we're stopping you. How are we gonna stop them?" And then I would get tickets constantly. I was just a kid. I didn't know what I was doing. I like the lowrider culture, and they would give me tickets all the time. Then my parents would be like, "Why are you getting tickets?" Like, I don't know. They just keep stopping me. And then like maybe I'll ditch school, and the cops will like, you know, like sometimes they'll get me from a certain neighborhood and drop me off in like far away from my house, like, or sometimes, and I was a minor, and they'll get me from the streets and take me to the police station, which I found out later was illegal. And they made me to who I am, and they made me think that I was a bad guy until like I realized almost like 13 years ago, I don't got to be that bad guy no more. But the cops made.
Heard that before. I remember the song from George Lopez. Oh, I guess it's just having those cars. Is that like the cars that like jump? Is that all it is?
Who I was.
And I'll share, like, I've never served any time like that. I was arrested as a 13-year-old. You know, literally, I still looked like I was 10. I was smoking weed at the park.
You still
and
do
I got
look like you're
immediately
10,
apprehended, taken into custody. I got handcuffed behind my back, and then
Well, that's probably a good thing. You shouldn't be smoking weed as a 13-year-old. So.
I got placed in a cop car with no divider. It was like a park cop, you know.
Okay.
So no divider. And then when he started asking me about my name and stuff. So I was like the adolescent phases. I didn't want to answer him. I didn't have to.
Why not though?
He's a minor.
Because I'm a minor. You don't have to interrogate me without my parents.
You don't have the right to talk to them.
That's incorrect. You committed a crime.
See, but I mean, you know.
But I don't think you're well.
All right,
I don't think you're well versed.
One second.
Gotcha.
So without the barrier, and he kept asking me questions, and I just.
Well, I want to hear the cop. Like, because why are the cops not allowed to ask a kid a question? Maybe they're not, but I want to hear like the protocol. Can you not ask a kid their name just because their parents aren't there? I don't really know.
I didn't want to answer him. I didn't have to at that point, you know. So he got upset that I didn't, volunteer with whatever his demands were, and he just punched me in the chest as a handcuffed 13-year-old kid, knocked the wind out of me.
That's definitely
whatever,
wrong.
you know.
Okay.
It went as far as violating my rights. I never even knew that I could have told his commanding officers or even the watch commander once I got to the jail, yo, this guy like sucker punched me in the chest, like he knocked the wind out of me, he abused me, he abused a minor. I didn't know any of that. Now that I'm an adult, because I'm a felon, because of course that, escalated into more things like getting marijuana, and marijuana was hella illegal back then. I'll be damned if you guys mess with me like all over again, and that has happened to me.
I get it.
That's why I got road flares in my car. That's why I keep like a kid.
I get it.
I cross all my T's and dot all my I's, dude.
Criminals who commit violent felonies.
Well, if that actually happened, and I don't know if I trust this guy, but if that did actually happen, then like, yeah, I can see why he doesn't like police officers. Okay.
Don't deserve certain legal rights.
You know what? I'm sorry, I can't do this. I can't do this episode no more.
Why? What happened? What did they ask?
Who commit violent felonies don't deserve certain legal rights.
I guess it depends on the violent felony. Again, like, going through, you're supposed to, once you get out of jail, you're supposed to be reformed. So probably, I would say, so I guess they still deserve legal rights once they get out of jail. Also, though, this woman kidnapped and murdered somebody. What happened there? I'm a little confused about why she's, what's going on with her. Can we talk about her situation, or are we not allowed to talk about this person who kidnapped and murdered somebody? But okay.
You know what? I'm sorry, I can't do this.
Why? What did he do? I feel like we should have started this with like what they did to get in jail. I don't know. I'm starting to get a little curious now. I'm confused.
It's not making any sense. The questions don't make sense to me.
What?
I can't really get my point across how I want to. And the questions are kind of like reversed. Like it's like you're asking the question, but you kind of. I can't do it.
I totally understand.
I can't do it.
You can always share whether you agree or disagree.
Well, I try to do it by talking over each other. And I can't be on camera doing it.
I totally
I'm trying
understand.
to get my point across at the police. You know what I mean? But I can't do that.
Yeah.
Like I can't do that, and I can't even get my point across. There's no point in me being here.
So
I'm out of here.
Okay.
Can we take a smoke break then? Oh, again?
Okay, so the guy left because he felt like he couldn't get his point across. Now, if after the show was over, he was upset and he was like, they really misrepresented something that I said, I would totally understand that, because that might be something that they do. But it seems like everybody gets a perfectly reasonable amount of time to express how they feel on particular topics. So how do you feel like you're not able to get your point across? They're giving people time to talk. What are they talking about? It sounds like he just kind of had like a little bit of a meltdown there.
Yes. I fear the other side. Step forward if you agree.
Is he back again? Okay.
I think it's part of their job to put fear in us, but it shouldn't.
Is it?
Every time just for a traffic ticket or just being stopped on the street, it was always like guns drawn right away. And every time
is it?
They point their guns at me, especially towards my back when I'm not even looking, like it just gives me this fear. Like, and then not only that, they like to manhandle you. They like to grip on your knuckles when I already know the procedure. I spread my legs and I try to do everything right, and they still try to manhandle you each time. They try to hold you so you could react and do something. It's like that. It's like their job is to.
I guess I don't have that interaction. I've never had a cop pull a gun on me, so I don't know. Maybe there are areas where cops are immediately taking their guns out. Part of me questions a little bit what's going on with some of these people, what they're doing in the reaction with the police officer. Not to be weird about it, but I'm wondering what's happening here. Is there a reason for them to pull their gun, or maybe there's not, or I don't really know. I feel like, we could probably just stick to we need more accountability for cops and more cameras on them to know that they're doing the right thing. But I don't know anymore. I don't know. I think that there's probably, for both sides, have the ability to kind of say whatever they want to say and represent the situation however they want to. So, I don't know.
Incriminate us. And for every traffic ticket, it was always I always had my driver license, my insurance. So every time they would come at me, I'll start cursing them out. That was me. That was my
Why?
From ever since I turned 18 till I was 30, I was just cursing them out every chance I get, and I'll love it because they'll give me a ticket each time, and I'll be like, okay, I don't care, I'm paying for my freedom, and that was the cost of my freedom. But
why were you getting so many traffic tickets? I'm so confused. Now it sounds like he's acknowledging that the tickets that he got were justifiable. So he was doing a wrong thing and then cursing out the police and then happily paying for the ticket. Why? I don't know, dude. I'm listening to them talk. I'm like, what's happening? I'm getting less and less sympathetic to the convicts as this goes on. It sounds like he would do illegal things in the car and then get pulled over for it. And he had his paperwork, but he would get tickets and he would just decide to curse the cops out. And it's for what reason? I get it, you hate cops, but do you think that's probably not helping the scenario to curse the cops out? It's just weird, but okay.
From my life each time. Every time they manhandle me and talk down to me, all I would think about was my kids. If my kids wanted to see how these people act, because my kids look up to me. But to see the cops act this way and then laugh about it, who are these people? They bring fear to the community.
Okay.
They don't bring any peace or nothing like that. And that's how I grew up. I grew up with so much aggression towards the cops, so much aggression until I realized, what? I'm not who they made me to be.
I have a dangerous job.
Okay.
Just like how you have children. I don't know if everybody has children. I want to go home to see my children, so I don't necessarily fear the other side. I just fear what could happen if I let my guard down while I'm doing my job. And that's it.
That's fair.
Once you start off aggressive, I kind of have to match that because in the back of my head, why are you being aggressive?
Yeah,
I have to understand.
Sure.
Hey, he's being aggressive for some reason. I don't want to die. I don't want you to die. You don't want to die. I would hope that you don't want me to die, and we just meet in the middle right there.
Actually, back then I would hope a car hits them or something, because the cops would come out with their guns drawn. It wasn't even I'll just be spooked, and once they come to me, I'll be like, you mother, I'll just go off on them.
In my younger days, I'd never just pointed my gun for no reason, but I was, what the, what, oh, whoa. Now it's oh, okay.
I mean, it's just interesting how all you guys stayed back there and didn't come, and I think you guys decided to come and show that you do have fear, but I don't think you guys really fear us, the way we fear you. You keep saying that it's not you, and he's gonna keep saying that it's not him, so who is it? Nobody?
As if it's black and white. Do I fear you? No. I don't even know you to fear you.
I signed up for the fact that...
I mean, I can understand being afraid of pulling somebody over and then they start yelling at you and you get jumpy because it's why are they being so aggressive? Do they have the only time I would yell and be belligerent is if I was guilty. Not for nothing. That's just me. I might get irritated with the cop. Might be a little attitude-y, But I don't know, dude. This is weird. This is getting weird.
One day, I'm gonna get shot. And 20 plus years ago, I couldn't agree with you more. I totally understand that brutality and how we treat people. We treat them like shit. I get that. Fast forward 25 years ago, and because of all that treatment that we did, now you have ambushes. You know, you got situations where suspects, you know, people are coming up to cops and just executing them. And you know, so when
Okay, well, it sounds like this cop's acknowledging that, like, cops used to be real shit 20, 25 years ago, and now they're getting fucking shot for it. So, like, and now I don't know how to feel about what you're saying, because if you have a department that's being abusive to their community, and then, like, 20 years later, these people decide that they're going to take revenge, I mean, it shouldn't be happening, but I'm not as sympathetic to you anymore, but okay.
says, you know, do I fear the other side? Well, yeah, I mean, the other side is someone who wants to take my life out and doesn't even know me. And I suppose that's a consequence of what happened decades ago where we did treat people like that.
I just had to say this straight. Let's be clear. What we're hearing right now, there's trauma, right?
Yeah.
And it's
Yes.
just triggering.
I don't like her. I think that she's the person I like the least. I'm still not over the I got arrested for kidnapping and murder. I'm not going to get over it. She didn't even say she didn't do it. She's like, maybe I didn't do it. I don't really respect anything that she has to say at this point. I don't think I can. Maybe she said it and they didn't edit it in or something, but I don't know. There's something that's a little crazy to me. There's something that's a little suspicious. A little suspicious. I don't know how I feel about her. So, well, I do know how I feel about her.
And
It's a
so
little
what we're
sussy.
going off of our reality, what's happened and what continues to happen. It causes us as human beings to become defensive. It causes us
Okay.
to become
I don't really
protective.
care
It
what you have
causes
to
us
say.
become things that we're not.
But it
We weren't
shouldn't.
born to, and it shouldn't.
It shouldn't.
Exactly.
Like I should not have to
Exactly.
stay inside my house and become
That-
an
I heard
introvert.
him.
And it's like, why can't I enjoy my freedoms? I'm a tax-paying American. I mean, I know I'm a felon and I can't have certain, rights, but when does my fear of you guys impede me from living my life as a free American?
I'm only 30 years old, so I'm dealing with the consequences of what people have done in the past. But it's like, I'm not like that. So it's like, I get the trauma, but it's also like, I'm trying to change it. Allow me to change it.
But you know, I do have to say something like the cops from the 90s are very different from the new cops because now they got a whole bunch of different races. Before, it was mostly whites. Yeah, so that's what I
Well,
had to
that
deal
makes
with
sense.
in the 90s.
Listen, it wasn't mostly whites. It was mostly Irish and Italian. Okay, mostly Irish. And those fucking guys, Irish people are bad people. I'm just kidding, but bro, cops back in the day are fucking wild. All right, you can't give an Irishman a gun though. You really just can't do it. All right, I'm sorry. I don't want to be racist in any direction. That would be a little too much. But yeah, they were a lot of white people, so that's crazy. But
But now it's a little different. I could say that.
But listen, I'm not like Irish or Italian. I'm German. You've never heard of a German person doing a bad thing. You've never heard of a German person doing anything systematically racist or anything. So, you know what I mean? Like I shouldn't be lumped in with these bad guys coming over being bad police officers. You don't see that. The Germans don't do anything wrong. I also got a little Jew in me, but but that's irrelevant. Don't think about that. Don't think about that part. Don't think about that part. All right? Germans have never done anything wrong. Okay, we didn't try to fight the world twice, and almost actually won one time, which is wild. It's fucking nuts. You think it wouldn't be so close, but hey, Jesus. Okay, so.
Step forward.
I agree with this gentleman here about the job has danger factors. Coming across people out in the field and patrol, I didn't fear them because I treated them with the utmost respect.
Yeah.
And I treated them the way I would want my family to be treated if they were on the other end being stopped. I've had arrestees after going to the jail and processing them.
Yo, who the fuck's this guy? Who the fuck is this guy? I've never seen him. We're 40 minutes in and I haven't seen this guy a single time in this whole conversation. Am I just not paying attention? What the fuck?
Get them food, whatever. A handful would say, you know what, thank you for treating me with the utmost respect.
I live in anxiety every day. Every time I see a black and white cop car,
get it.
every time I see red
I
and
get
blue
it.
lights,
I totally
a
get it.
uniform, I hear a little too much keys. I hear
Yeah, well, you also sell drugs, so like heroin or something. So I don't know. Like I would be nervous too if I was a drug dealer. Of course, I'd be nervous as well.
I just don't, little noises that come with your guys' uniforms. I sat up here for 15 minutes and was going to turn around because I did not want to be in a room with 4 people that wore that badge.
Okay.
And it's come to that much of a broken trust because I am the most friendliest human that you'll meet. I trust everything, even a stranger walking. As soon as I see a uniform, I'm totally guarded, and I live in anxiety because of it.
I mean, I don't like cops that much either. They just kind of annoy me sometimes, but yeah, I don't know.
Me with my parole, I could show license, registration.
But the cops like me a little bit because I used to work for a bus company. We'd like wash their cars for free if they rolled around. We'd be like, yeah, I'll take care of it for you. Good community relations.
Insurance with a smile. Oh, why you got a parole till 2036? Step out of your vehicle. Next thing you know, my little tiny belongings are on the side of the curb and it's not even getting put back again.
Well, that's obviously wrong. I mean, they shouldn't, like, she's on parole. I guess they know that when she gets pulled over, so they shouldn't be pulling her over for that. Like, you know, she's paid her dues and whatnot. She's on parole. It doesn't mean she should be like hyper focused, but okay.
Together. And then I'm late for work. Now I got to explain to a job that hired a felon why I'm late because someone had a pissy day and they saw that I had a parole date. If you don't know my trauma, I don't expect you to evaluate it.
Did you miss the parole date or?
But I don't expect a tough tone either because it might trigger me and then we both going to be all types of bitches. You know, like,
Totally.
you know?
Totally get you.
So.
What I want to know is how you guys feel about that we're scared of you guys.
I hate it. Because how do I gauge that? I don't know. I guess I have to continue to ask questions this and that third. But I'm like, why the hell? I'm just talking to you. Like if I saw it, like I said,
Because you can only put it up.
Her Wikipedia said she did it, and 3 other women drugged and kidnapped him, and a larger group that was involved in torturing. And what the fuck? What do you mean? Like, how do you know that? What's her name? Jesus Christ! What the fuck? Is that Donna? It is. It's this person. This is the person? Wait, what the fuck? I don't... Hold on. Donna Hope Hilton? She's a Jamaican activist. I have to read this. I'm gonna leave this dungeon. Okay, I just want to read this real quick. Let's see. Jamaican activist, author, and mother who formerly incarcerated. She was convicted at age 20 of murder in the 2nd degree and 2 counts of kidnapping in the 1st degree for her role in the kidnapping, rape, torture, and murder of New York businessman Thomas whatever, or was it Vigilario, in 1985. Sentenced to 25 years to life. Hilton was paroled in 2012 after serving more than 26 years. Following her time in prison, Hilton earned a bachelor's degree. What the fuck? This person raped, tortured, and abused a guy? I don't think that she should have ever gotten out. I mean, I understand, like, doing a bad thing and going to jail, but you helped rape, kidnap, torture, and murder a guy. Why are you out of jail? What the fuck? I mean, it looks like she had a tragic past, adult hands harming me instead of protecting me, but I'm at a point now where I feel you've crossed a line. Murder trial. On March 20, 1985, Donna Hilton and 3 female companies drugged and kidnapped 62-year-old Long Island real estate broker Thomas Vigliario at the behest of Louis Miranda, who thought had cheated him out of $140,000 on a mutual con in which 2 allegedly sold shares in New York condos and pocketed the money. The kidnappers held him prisoner for 15 to 20 days. During that time, 3 men and 4 women, including Hilton, starved, burned, beat, sexually assaulted, raped, and tortured him. On April 5th, 1985, with Hilton asleep in the next room, Villario died of asphyxiation. 3 days later, his body was found locked in a trunk in a Manhattan apartment. What the fuck? Jesus Christ. Oh my God. She tried to claim that her Sixth Amendment right to confrontation was violated. She received ineffective assistance of counsel, and the jury improperly and biased deprived her of her constitutional right to a fair trial. Bro, you helped murder, abuse, torture, rape a guy. I don't care. This person's a piece of shit scumbag. Following her release, Hilton has advocated for the humanitarian release of aging prisoners. I think that she should still be in jail. Jesus, I mean, is this right person? I think so. What the fuck? I'm gonna put this in the description. I mean, Jesus. Okay, I mean, I guess they had a financial dispute. How do you justify this? This is horrible. What a bad person. How do you can't live? I feel like can you grow and live that down? I don't know. I don't know, dude. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay.
Animal in the corner for so long before they fight back, but I think that's what the police wants. I think that they want a war. They want us to fight back, because I wanted to fight back so long until I realized I wasn't that person, and I had to just go my way, like follow the path that God gave me, and I had to leave that alone. But I did have a uglier path that I was gonna follow. But it's like, you know, the cops. It's like you guys make yourself our enemy.
I don't enjoy conflict.
Well, I'm telling you, we're all scared of you. Everybody I know is scared of the police.
When you interact with me, or
I'm not reading the whole thing. I read the majority of the situation. What am I missing here that you feel like I'm not reading? I don't understand. I'm not going to read the entire thing. You can go look at it yourself. I put it in the description. What else do you feel like I need to read? I read like the entire thing when it came to what she did wrong. She helped rape and murder a guy. Oh, she claimed they said they would kill her? Oh, okay. I would too if I did the bad thing. I would also say they made me do it. I'm not super empathetic to her. That's a court to decide. They decided against her. But also don't care because she helped rape, torture, and murder a guy. I don't know if you guys know this. It's a really bad thing to do. I don't know. They claimed that they would kill her daughter. Okay. Did they? Where did they read that? Okay. Maybe that happened. I don't know. I don't know how you would get involved in something like that in the first place, but I suppose if that happened, there's something there too. But Jesus Christ. Maybe it did happen. I guess the courts decided that that was a lie. I don't know. I know that you keep saying, like, I want to be clear. Like, okay, she claims that they said that they would kill her daughter if she didn't do it. That might be true. It also might be a lie. I don't really know. Pretty jarring shit going on here. Okay. Let's get this going.
with any of you guys, I'm going to understand who you are as a person. And it kind of goes back to what he had said about match energy with energy. You know?
But if that was the case, I mean, we don't really fear you. We're not scared. I'm not scared of you one bit. If I had a gun, we could both go at it. We'll do a duel or something like that.
What?
Other than that, I'm not scared of you guys. But it's just the fact that a lot of times we don't have guns. We don't have knives. Like you guys think we're ninjas, that we're just gonna throw a knife or a fork and it's gonna land in your eye, and then you guys, that's not how we live.
Well, I mean, you can't get guns illegally. I don't know what his point here is.
That's not the reality that we.
That badge gives you guys all the power.
What community are you from? Because I hear Twain.
Tennessee.
Okay, so where do you police?
Tennessee.
You police in Tennessee?
Mm-hmm.
So do you police in the community you grew up in?
I do.
Okay, so out here in LA, it's pretty different. Okay, our police, like the beat, they might live there for 25, 30 years and live over here now because they made it out. Or they might actually come from somewhere they wanted to police, but they send them to Long Beach. You know, so...
Yeah, I know what you're saying. We were talking about this before. I'd say that definitely happens in bigger cities too, for sure, 100%.
Factor is that badge that you put on, you took a responsibility to know that I don't trust you. We can have commonalities. I probably can't have a commonality with you even if you said that it was your passion, other than if we could get to the way above you, because you're like the bottom of the trickle effect of the system. Mm-hmm. I need friends way up there.
Yeah.
Once you put on that uniform and that badge, for me, I'm on guard no matter who you are.
You're 100% right. We have a lot of work to do. Shows like this, us coming together and having this dialogue, it's only going to try to get us, you know, not only just the middle ground, but to treat each other as humans. So we have a lot of work to do. I totally get it.
I agree.
Policing is necessary. Policing is necessary.
Well, yeah, of course policing is necessary.
What you gonna do is cola.
I agree with y'all.
If you don't sit down on that, you're an idiot. Like, there's...
I agree.
Policing is necessary.
Yeah, we need some form of policing. If you don't sit down for that, you're a loser.
Policing is necessary.
What you gonna do is cola.
I agree with y'all.
Cola, man.
I agree because I was kidnapped, raped, and tortured, and it was an off-duty LA sheriff officer who was out of jurisdiction playing softball. It was during payphone days. He saw red flags. He was policing. You know, he did his job. He noticed damsel in distress, I guess, and he called local authorities, and the gentleman got a double life sentence due to the horrendous crimes he committed against me. So I do believe that policing is necessary in certain perspectives. However, I'm going to be biased. I think that y'all don't need a police drug me, no. So I do believe that there is a reason and a purpose for your positions.
I'm sorry that happened to you, and I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm a parent and I have a daughter, I have a mother, I have a sister, and I would never want anything like that to happen. And what you went through was horrendous, and we have checks and balances in place for that. Moving forward with a lot of transparency, I think there are a lot of changes in regards to issues with that. Like I said, I mentioned earlier, I personally arrested 2 of our own officers working internal affairs for the crimes that they committed. It didn't go over well, but it had to be done. And those are the checks and balances of transparency that these agencies have in place. So
We are not a healed race of humans.
Okay.
We are not in a healthy place. We haven't been in a healthy place probably ever. But we have
Is he the only one not sitting down?
to get
Like,
it's not working. It causes more harm than it does good.
I guess
Because
everybody else sat down except for that one guy, so he doesn't think that we need a police presence. Is that what he's saying?
even if 100 police officers do good, it takes that one to do something so atrocious, so bad, that it just wipes all the good away. And it shouldn't. And it shouldn't, but it does. Hungry people are going to steal to eat. And that's the thing. We're not looking at the root causes of stuff. Yes, the 4 of you, what I'm hearing, you sound like really good human beings that have a job or chose a job to maybe you wanted to protect and serve and whatever else and knew that there was bad things that happened and you want to help with that. I understand that, and it's true. But it gets lost and it gets murky when we continue to see the things that happen. Policing is necessary, but it depends on how you police.
I do believe y'all need to be policed as well, though. I believe that you as police
Sure.
officers spend way too much time policing us and not enough time policing each other. And on all the videos, 100% has shown the facts of what partners do. You know, they stand by, they don't police each other. They don't
True.
say, hey, stop, bruh, hold up. My homeboys, if I'm acting a fool and they know my felony, they're gonna stop me. They're gonna say, get back over here, Bonnie. Calm yourself, you got too much to lose. All the videos where there's one gone wild,
We don't do that.
not policing each other.
Right. So to your point.
is that a bill too?
Yeah. Well, not only that. Yeah. So yeah, they just enacted duty to intercede. So or intervene. Right. So yeah. Right now, you act a fool and you start acting up, and your partner's there and you just watching. That's not going to cut it. You're going to get jammed up and probably get terminated. Me personally.
Well, I'm happy that they have that protocol, but then there's still an issue of like your partner simply like not speaking up in some capacity, so that won't happen to you. You get the buddy system going on, which I think is the bigger issue there. But
Personally, look, in my 25 years, I spent about 12 years in discipline. So I worked internal affairs and I prosecuted cops. So I'm 100% with you. I don't
well,
think
that's
any
good.
of us here.
It's still a little weird that cops go after other cops. You know what I mean? Like, is that the best way to do it, or should maybe, you know, I don't know, some kind of separate entity go after cops? But okay.
Like to have a bad actor or a liar, you know, or a murderer for that, or a rapist, or, you know, so that in it itself, it's just not tolerated whatsoever because we're trying to do what's good. Is police needed? For me, on a personal note, I had a sister who was molested and raped when she was young, my older sister, and she got heavily into drugs. She's a 27-year veteran of meth.
Damn.
And
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh. That's not funny. I've never heard somebody say that somebody's a veteran of an illegal substance. I'm sorry. It's not funny, but that's just so jarring. He said such a horrible story, and then she's a 27-year veteran of meth. You don't expect somebody to say something like that. It was just a little weird. Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh.
ended up
Jesus.
getting arrested. She ended up having to go through the system, and you know, I suppose at one point she got drug diversion.
Damn.
But all those years that she did drugs, it really affected her physically to the point where
Yeah,
she
of
ended up
course,
getting
that's
ovarian
horrible.
cancer. And so
Wow.
2 years ago, I lost her to terminal cancer.
That's sad.
My
That's horrible.
nephew, her son, the apple didn't fall far from the tree.
No.
He also committed a lot of crimes. And you know what? If it wasn't for the police arresting him and going through the system, he probably would be dead right now. Right now, he committed crimes out here in Los Angeles, and he's now over in another state where he committed more crimes. And now, luckily, thank God that he's actually going through the systems at a halfway house. Has been sober for, I think, over a year. So
That's
the
good.
police, for me, not just internally for what I did, but it's super
Hey, what's
necessary
going on?
for others.
Hi, Linda. Yeah, I mean, like the system is supposed to work like that, right? It's supposed to reform people if they get into fall into bad habits and bad shit happens to them. I understand that.
I mean, we do need policing in a way, but not this type of policing.
What?
You know, that's it. It's just, this is not it. We need to find another way.
Oh,
You know, and-
well, I think everybody agrees with you in this situation. So that they need to be better, and apparently they have increased more protocols. So that's good.
You know, I don't mean to be funny, but I'm pretty sure you guys, if you haven't seen the movie Judge Dredd, I mean, they get to the point. They don't take nothing personal. They do their job. They get spit on. They get talked back. And the cops just do their job. Well, they're judges, but not cops. But they just do their job. That's it.
Okay.
Nothing personal. It's just business. Because it is a business. Because everything that has to do with the police either has something to do with money or money comes out of it. But that's it.
Not to be rude, I could see why this guy got frustrated before, because I'm struggling to understand his point a little bit, but okay.
You just got to take the personal stuff out the equation. I think we'll be all right. And I mean, compassion, I mean, it goes hand in hand, but like I said, just do your job and that's it. You don't got to go nowhere beyond that.
So you're 50-50.
No,
You
we should abolish this policing and start a new way.
But you're
well, I don't think that we should abolish anything. We should definitely reform, though. I think abolishing, just from an infrastructure perspective, is probably impractical and not going to really work or happen. But I kind of agree. Sure. I think everybody's saying the same thing.
for the police, as long as it's a better system, is what you're
No,
saying.
not for the police. It needs to be something else now. The whole policing, everything that has police in it just needs to get out the way. It needs to be a new way of
what do you want to call it?
going about things.
So if you said you had kids, right? I have 4. Okay. If my daughter is raped, I need an officer that is willing to be my child's voice and hold the rapist accountable. Okay. I was raped.
Sure. Unfortunately, sometimes police officers don't
None
do
of
that.
my family believed me. Okay. Nobody. But that one officer that I spoke to,
Well, that's
that
good.
one cop believed me and made sure that everything was handled appropriately. And charges actually stuck.
But what's the odds of you getting that one cop?
don't know.
I've lost all hope in 911 and calling cops. I don't care. My community can take care of whatever happens that comes towards my family. And I do believe that y'all need a police in perspectives, but not, how would I say, like the badge and the uniform ain't working no more.
We all agree that we need something better.
Nah, I don't agree at all, not one bit. I literally believe
we need something worse,
We should be able to take care of ourselves, fend for ourselves, I mean, when this country...
So if you have a 3-year-old daughter that gets kidnapped or
What is
raped,
this, the fucking Wild West? We need police. Like we need them. That's just what it comes down to.
your same situation,
Well, I mean, I'm going to go
how
out...
is she going to defend herself?
I'm going to become an automatic criminal and probably face charges for taking matters upon my own hands. I'm going to fall into the cycle
And
of...
if you could,
Well, I don't think that we have to go that deep. I mean, it doesn't have to be like a fucking rape. Like if somebody breaks into my car or something, like just the existence of police officers does reduce people wanting to commit crimes because they might get caught. Like we need police. Obviously, we need like a robust infrastructure. Like they need to be better, but we need police. It's just a fact that
didn't
will
find
tell
the
you.
rapist or the kidnapper?
I mean, to be honest with you, like, I hate to put it this way, but I've been a victim
So
of crimes
don't.
that I've solved myself before you guys even got involved.
Okay,
And crimes
that's
have
good.
happened to me that I've delivered, literally I've handed cases to investigators and I've done, my thing. I'm not gonna go out and...
Well, why did you need to hand them to investigators though? That's police. If you did it yourself, I don't understand. Why would you get involved with the police if you just said that police are bad, but you got the police involved? So, that makes a lot of sense to me too.
shoot people, I got too much to lose. But I will do my job and I will do what I gotta do because it's my stuff. My tax dollars are paying for you guys to do absolutely nothing.
Okay.
And when you guys are called,
You have a job or?
I'm gonna open a beer, I'm gonna chill, I'm gonna hang out, I'm gonna probably order a pizza. The pizza man will get there before you guys do.
Okay,
You're civil
maybe.
servants of us. At what point did you go from serving us to harassing us? At what point did you go from serving and protecting us to
Hey,
making
what's up, Agrello?
us inferior to you guys? At what point do we go from the people to, man, we're scared of you guys?
And I hear you. Honestly, I hear you. I hear everything you're saying. And,
I honestly have a better chance
through.
policing myself than I having to call you guys.
Well, I'm
honestly.
sorry you went through what you did, okay? I will apologize for us as a whole, but you can't judge all of us.
It's not just you guys, it's a whole history since you guys started. Like in 1777, when this country was built, there was no police.
I have trouble, especially being a black cop, is I have been through what you've gone through, yet when I try to be a better person, every time I talk to
Not too
somebody
bad, man. How you
with
been,
trauma like
Agrello?
what you're saying, you judge me based off this, but then expect me not to do the reverse to you, and I don't understand where that disconnect is.
Well, the
If I
disconnect
were to treat you like, oh, this is a Mexican on the street, right?
all the time.
I don't know you, so I've never done that. So don't say I've done that, right? But if I were to treat you like that, it would be an issue. Why do you feel okay to do that? Hey, this is a cop. He's going to do the exact same shit everybody else did it before. That's not fair to do.
It's not, but it's not fair to come after me when I'm just driving my car.
I don't know you.
The Constitution says that I have the right to enjoy my roads that I pay for with my
It
tax
says you have the
dollars.
right to travel. It doesn't say you
Yeah,
have
we
the right
travel freely. Travel
Travel
freely,
does not
that's the
mean
key
drive,
word. Travel
right?
freely.
Right, so you can walk wherever you want to go, but you can't drive. That's under the California Constitution. But that's neither here nor there. But what I'm saying, I would never.
Pay attention, guys. I want you guys to pay attention, right? I want you guys to pay
I have no real empathy for this kid. He's so annoying. He doesn't stop complaining. He sounds like the kind of guy that tries to antagonize police officers. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I'm happy that they're putting in more protocols to hold cops more accountable. And, you know, maybe it's not this kid's fault. Maybe he's had bad experiences in the past, and now he just filters everything poorly. But, I mean, like, you know, I wonder how much both ways this goes. I wonder how much, like, having, you know, what do you call it, like, a historical trauma of not liking police because, you know, your family or your parents taught you that police were bad, how much that has a negative impact on the way that you treat police officers, and then police officers taking it more personally than they should, and how this is just, like, a really big issue in general. I don't know. Really good, really good. Just got a new couch and dining room table. I knew I was getting older when I decided to get new furniture. I feel you, man. I needed to get a new couch. I fucking sat on it too hard, and it broke the couch, so.
Because this is a big problem right here. And he claims that he's not a problem and he's in the middle. But let me point it out to you guys right here where the big flaw is.
What's that?
Every time that I've invoked my rights,
Okay.
this individual has chose to go around and still violate my rights. You guys notice that?
Okay.
The same persona, the same, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not.
Can we move on to the last prompt? Because
Yeah,
it
let's-
feels like
let's
it's
go
not
to the next
going
prompt.
anywhere. Yeah, locking people up doesn't solve anything.
That's an interesting. See, that's one of the things is that that's one of the problems there. Is like that. What an open-ended question. Locking people up doesn't solve anything. Like, obviously, it does, right? So here's what I think policing should be, right? Policing should be somebody does a bad thing, and they go to jail for it for a period of time based on, you know, what they did wrong, and then they are provided with ways to make them function in society better and help them deal with problems. So maybe you go to jail and you get like a degree or you know, some kind of training or something, and then you get out and you could be better for it. That's how it should work. You have to take these people off the streets so that they don't do any more bad things and help them to be able to function in society in a more effective way. That's not really a hot take. I think that that's pretty basic, normal. I think most of us like understand that. I don't know that the system necessarily does do that now. It might need a little bit of help getting there. But like, yes, locking people up does help. It is. I think it is necessary. You know, if somebody murders somebody or somebody like just assaults somebody, maybe they need to go to jail and learn that they did a bad thing, right? So,
Yeah.
Finally, middle ground. Punishment is the response to everything. By punishment, I mean throwing somebody into a system that does not address anything, any of the issues that the person might have had, the communities have,
Sure.
people with substance issues, mental health issues, poverty issues. Let's be clear, poverty is a crime, right? But people are getting locked up for it because they're trying to manage and eat and survive and just do, you know.
Sure,
and so
yeah.
we're not addressing anything that causes these ills.
money would
okay,
help.
let's
Yeah, I'm a UBI guy, so
lock them up
or
and
maybe
throw
a negative income tax.
away
Either
the
way.
key. That's the mindset. At least that's how we feel because we lived it and we continue to live it.
Yeah, I think we've gotten
right?
better.
And right, and I feel like that's where now we're getting this
Absolutely.
middle ground and this understanding that it is not the way to do things. It is not the solution.
I feel like we're getting the blame for it when it's a system as a whole. You know, we don't have anything to do with what happens.
But you're part of it.
And well, we are part of it. Absolutely.
You're the root of it.
We absolutely agree on that.
That's the thing.
They're at the root of it. Okay. You guys are so silly.
Well, we are part of it. Absolutely.
You're the root of it.
They're not the root of it. That's what they're saying. They're saying, yeah, the police. What they're literally like saying, like, I agree with you. The police are flawed, and we acknowledge that, and we're trying to do better. And they are part of it, right? You know, it's a job, and it's still a necessary job. There's, you know, we need police officers, but they're not the root of it. The root of it is not the individual police officer. It is the infrastructure in place to remove accountability from police officers, right? That's the root of it. So don't call them the root of the problem. That's not how that works. Like, the root of the problem is like, where did this problem start? It didn't start with people becoming police officers. It started with different levels of corruption. So
We absolutely agree on that.
You see, that's the thing that you guys say, oh, we're not responsible.
you sign the dotted line and invest it in the system by applying and training. Okay, but like what? So what are you supposed to do? Like, how do you? So let's like, what are you supposed to do? That's the question. Like, because I understand that you're saying like, hey, well, you are part of, you're implicit in the system because you're in there. Okay, what are you supposed to do? Don't become a police officer? Because I would argue that, like, let's say you have really big issues with police officers in your community. The best thing you could do is try to become a police officer for your community. No, wouldn't that make the most sense? Trying to change it from the inside, trying to be that empathetic cop that maybe tries to help people out a little bit. Wouldn't that be the solution to this problem? I feel like you can't just decide that all cops are bad just because they exist. We still need police, right? So, yeah.
Then you say that, oh, we're not like this, but I mean,
no,
it's
we're
like,
responsible.
no one's taking accountability. That's one thing. I mean, you guys say sorry, you're apologizing for them, but where are they? Like, it's like we never see them.
You're the
Well, I think
same
one of the guys works in like an internal affairs thing that tries to get bad cops. So it seems like they are trying.
before intake. So you're the level before I go in. So when I'm put in handcuffs and going in, my last real human contact is with the person who put the handcuffs on me, and not once has anyone ever.
Sure, but like, let's also be clear, because this person seems to have a hard life. You also are you sell drugs. So even if we had a fixed system, and poverty might be why she's selling drugs, but again, the police officers don't make poverty, right? Police officers exist to deal with the problems of a broken society, which are usually governmental problems. You still did a bad thing that is bad, and you're killing your own people with drugs. You say nobody's ever overdosed. You've destroyed their ability to function by helping. Like, if you, in the same way that you want to complain that police officers are bad people, so are you as a drug addict. Like, you're worse. You're killing your own community. People get addicted to drugs, and then they start being bad people. If you sell that, you're part of the infrastructure problem. You could justify it by saying, well, I needed the money, and I get that, but you're still not doing a good thing. You're worse than police officers. If you sell drugs, you're worse than a police officer. I don't know what you want me to tell you. You're killing people. You can't really sit here with this this kind of moral authority to be like, well, this is okay, but you're rotting your communities from the inside out by selling them drugs that will get them addicted and kill them. Like, you're a problem. And yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
Ever just had a compassionate, like, hey, I hope to see you make it out of here healthy, or hey, you know what, I'm
Recidivism's been 70% for God knows how long.
like 80 something.
I'd say probably 80 now. In certain zip codes, in certain locations, it's probably even the 90 or 95%. So from a societal, point of view, absolutely. I think that, locking people up is not the key. As a matter of fact, all the prisons that they made in the state of California has been overpopulated for decades.
There's money in recidivism. There's not money in reformation, and that's the problem. Is that you are trapped in a system, and so am I.
Sure.
Where it's all about a dollar amount on me, and that's just what it is.
Like, when I got locked up,
that's true. I understand that they don't seem to focus enough on like getting people out of jail. It's like usually people go back in with like 5 years. I'm sure part of that is the system. Part of that's probably because some people, maybe they're just lost at some point. But again, I don't know. You sold drugs. I don't know.
Went in for a week.
Whatever.
And when I got out, like in 2 weeks, I came out like knowing how to steal a car. I made more connections with more criminals. I learned how to make a shank. I learned how to hide stuff. Like, I became more criminal going to prison, going to jail. All these, like, you just are surrounded by other people that are doing even crazier stuff than just having weed. So it's like I came out worse. And each time
That's a
I would
good
go,
point.
I would learn something even worse. So it's like it just makes you even worse. Like,
Imagine like having a family.
That's a good point. Like going to jail for some petty bullshit like selling weed. Sounds like from what we hear from this guy so far, he like probably did smoked weed or something and went to jail for that, because they used to like put you in jail for like fucking like crazy. And then you meet people who are actually criminals, and then you learn bad shit. Like, that's a good point. Absolutely.
For 13, 27 years, right? And then you come home and you're told you can't associate with them. Like, those are my friends. And they're home, I'm home.
Sorry, let me just...
Having a family for 13, 27 years, right? And then you come home and you're told you can't associate with them.
Well, yeah.
Like, those are my friends. And they're home, I'm home. We've relied on each other.
So what she's saying is that, like, she goes to jail because she sells drugs to people and she kills people in her community, destroys their lives, and it helps do that. And then she goes home and they're like, you can't hang out with the people that help you sell drugs or that you sell drugs to, because they're criminals as well. And she's like, well, that's sad. I'm sure it is, but and that sucks, because I get what you're saying. You made those friends. I'm not really super duper, not super, I'm not super duper. I don't know what's the word that I'm trying to say. Sympathetic to that point, but I get it. Okay.
Violation. 10-day sit down. Oh, what's your name? It's all about the dollar amount.
Okay, but
All
those,
my support
but you're
is stripped because they're felons.
right. But that's the problem is that they're also selling drugs. I listen. I kind of understand. It's more of an issue of like when it comes to doing a lot of bad things. Is like once you're back into your original environment, it's very hard to change. So I understand that. That's like a unique problem. Where it's like, let's say you go to jail because you're a fucking drug addict or something, which you shouldn't really go to jail for that anyway. You should be going to some kind of a drug place. Then you get off drugs and that's great, but then you go back to your shitty life with your old friends and old habits, and then you get back on drugs. Like I understand that that's something like that's rough. But okay.
What support do I have? Not y'all, not the felons. I'm in the middle line too. Who supports me? My job.
We need some help on both sides at all levels. Going back what you said about financials, yeah, it is. It's at the legislative branch where they need to make these changes, and it's going to trickle down where it affects all of us on both sides. Definitely.
And we have not really brought the elephant to light in this room right now.
What's that?
This system is not ours, right? It was created before any of us here.
Yeah.
Was designed to continue a form of slavery.
Sure.
Period. The vast majority of the
That might be true. I mean, like, there's literally like when people work inside of prisons, they make pennies an hour, like 10 cents an hour. And you might be, well, you might say like, well, they're criminals. They shouldn't make that much money. They have to blah, blah, blah. First of all, I don't know if I agree with that. Second of all, here's the problem. Okay. It's not even about the criminals. When they decide to have criminals make things in jail and make pennies on the dollar, that means that like whatever institution that's making that is utilizing that like slave labor. What's happening is we as taxpayers are paying for the prison infrastructure. And then the government's turning around and saying, we'll sell things to companies. We'll sell things to companies. We'll allow them to use this labor to make some different things, which is basically slave labor. So now you're subsidizing whatever we as Americans are subsidizing whatever they make in those jails. Like for instance, like a license plate. License plates are expensive. They're still like, I think it's like still like, it might be $80 for a pair in New York. For a piece of metal that a guy that made 8 cents an hour is making? Why? That doesn't make any sense to me, right? So these are some of the problems here. I'm not sure what other businesses like are able to use basically some form of slave labor. I have to look into that. But like, yeah, it's a problem. And if I die here, I'm gonna also have a problem. Oh, do not let me die. Do not let me die, you fucking bitch. Oh my god, this is a hardcore one. If I die, then I'm dead. Holy shit. No. Okay, I'm alive. I think she's talking about how they created police to enslave black people. Yeah, maybe, but still, this point is still real. That is still slave labor. I mean, it's still slave labor. It doesn't matter what her point is. This point that I'm making is still true.
2.3 million people in American prisons and jails are black and brown.
Oh, you're right, but still.
People. Period.
It's broken, and I don't see our generations being able to fix it. I don't see the next
Well, it seems like our generation is trying to fix it.
generation, but I will tell you, I will do my part as an individual to uphold and treat everybody with respect, as I'm sure all three of these guys can say as well. You know, I didn't know y'all from Adam. I don't know them from Adam, but here we are. We're having conversations, we're having debates, and I will still treat you guys all with the same respect.
And thank you so much, guys, for being here.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting video. A lot of very emotional roller coaster. All over the place with that one. I'm still it's still a little jarring that one girl apparently helped rape, abuse, torture, kill a guy. They said I know people were saying, well, somebody apparently said that they would kill her kid if she didn't help. That might be true. It also might not be true. It's still fucking wild. It's still wild. So yeah. But okay.